Hi everyone. Welcome back to our Python for Beginners series. Today, we're going to learn how to make some really cool stuff with Python. First up, we'll talk about the basic parts of Python. These are like the building blocks we need to make awesome things. Then, we'll make a simple program together. It'll ask you for 5 numbers, and it'll tell you which one is the largest number amongst them. Next, we'll make a little calculator. It can do easy math stuff like adding, subtracting, multiply and divide. After that, we'll make something tasty, a pizza ordering program. User can order pizza online by selecting size and toppings. And finally, we'll make a program to help you with grocery shopping. It'll help the user to purchase the grocery items within a list of available items. So, let's dive in and have some fun learning Python together. Let's start by learning how to install Python on your computer.
Step 1. Downloading the Python installer. Go to the official Python download page for Windows. Install the latest version of Python for Windows. Step 2. Running the executable installer. After the installer is downloaded, run the Python installer. After the installation is complete, a setup was successful message displays.
Requirements for Run Python. 1. You will need a Mac or PC/laptop with minimum Windows 10 to run Python on your computer. 2. An IDE software. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. It's a software platform that combines tasks like code development, building, debugging, and testing into a single application. You can use Visual Studio Code, Eclipse, NetBeans or PyCharm for Windows or Mac. We will use Visual Studio Code to run Python on our PC. If you have no idea how to install Python and Visual Studio Code on your PC, then you can watch my previous video about how to install Python and Visual Studio Code on PC. I have given the link of the video in the description. Also, you can learn Python coding by going to Programize online Python compiler to achieve the same task. You can find the link in the description. After installing the Python in our computer, let's start by looking at some basic building blocks important for our journey. Understanding these basics will set a strong base for our upcoming exercises. The print statement in Python is a built-in function used to display text or variables to the standard output device, usually the console or screen. It can be used to print simple messages or values stored in variables. Text enclosed within double quotes will be printed exactly as written. To print the values stored inside variables, just put the variable names inside print statement without parenthesis. You can combine text and variables within the same print statement. Simply enclose the text within double quotes and separate it from the variables by commas. Alternatively, you can use an F before the print statement to include both the text and variables within double quotes. The result will be the same as when using commas to separate them. The if statement is a fundamental control structure in programming used to make decisions based on certain conditions. It allows the program to execute specific code blocks if a specified condition is true. In simpler terms, the if statement evaluates whether a condition is met, and if it is, it executes a block of code associated with that condition. If the condition is not met, the program can proceed to other statements or execute alternative code blocks. Let's say we have a variable called marks. We will check if the value of marks exceeds to 80, the statement returns, "You got a 1 grade." We can associate more than one print statements if the condition is true. And if the value of the marks is greater than or equal to 70, then it will return "You got a grade." And if the value of the marks is greater than 50, then it will return "You got B grade." In any other case where the marks are less than 50, the statement returns, "Sorry, you have failed." The Python input function is used to receive input from the user while a program is running. When you use input, the program pauses and waits for the user to type something in. Once the user enters the input and presses enter, the program continues execution, and you can store the input in a variable for further processing. Here is an example. In this code, we're using a variable called name to hold the name the user gives us. Then, we're using the print function to show the name the user entered. Every time this code runs, it asks the user to type something in. Whatever the user types gets stored in the name variable. You can use this name anywhere else in your program because it's saved in a variable. We can also get input in the form of numbers, integers or floats, or text. And of course, we can use these values stored in variables with the print function to get the results we want. A Python function is a block of reusable code that performs a specific task. Functions allow you to break down your code into smaller, manageable pieces, making it easier to read, understand, and maintain. Functions in Python are defined using the def keyword followed by the function name, parameters, if any, and a colon. The body of the function contains the code to be executed when the function is called. Here's a simple Python function that prints a greeting message whenever it's called. When you call greeting, it will print hello. Welcome to Python. You can call this function anytime you want to greet the user or display a welcome message in your program. Let's create a function named calculation that takes two parameters a and b. Inside the function, it calculates the sum of a and b and assigns it to the variable sum. It then returns the value of sum. The return statement ends the execution of the function and sends the value of sum back to the caller. When the function calculation is called with arguments 12 and 15. These values are passed to the parameters a and b respectively. The function computes the sum of a and b, which is 12 plus 15 is equal to 27, and returns this value. Finally, the print statement prints the returned value, 27, to the screen. If you have to write down numbers from 1 to 10 or 100 by hand, it takes a lot of time. You have to use the print statement on several lines with specific number to achieve the desired results. But Python helps us save time with something called a while loop. A while loop is a way to repeat a task based on a condition. It's like a shortcut that helps us solve many problems easily. A while loop is a programming concept that allows you to execute a block of code repeatedly as long as a specified condition is true. Here's how it works. Condition: you start by defining a condition. This condition is like a rule that decides whether the loop should continue running or stop. Execution: the block of code inside the while loop is executed if the condition is true. If the condition is false, the code inside the loop is skipped, and the program moves on to the next part of the program after the loop. Reevaluation: after the block of code inside the loop is executed, the condition is checked again. If the condition is still true, the block of code inside the loop is executed again. This process continues until the condition becomes false. Python dictionaries are a built-in data type that stores a collection of key-value pairs. The basic syntax for creating a dictionary in Python is by using curly braces and specifying key-value pairs separated by commas. In this example, name, age, and city are keys, while John, 30, and New York are values. You can access the values in a dictionary by providing the corresponding key inside square brackets. You can modify the value of any key like this. Or you can add any new key-value pair in dictionary. Python dictionaries are widely used for storing and accessing data efficiently, especially when you need to associate one piece of data with another, e.g., mapping unique identifiers to corresponding data values. In the first example code, we will prompt the user to input 5 values, stores them in a list, finds the largest value from that list and then prints the result. Let's look at the code. This line initializes an empty list called values. This list will be used to store the 5 values inputted by the user. This line starts a loop that iterates 5 times. The loop variable I takes on values from 0 to 4. Inside the loop, this line prompts the user to input a value. Input is used to receive user input, and float is used to convert the input into a floating point number, a decimal number. The prompt message includes the iteration number I+1, so the user knows which value to input. This line appends the inputted value to the values list. In each iteration of the loop, the inputted value is added to the list. After the loop finishes, this line uses the max function to find the largest value among the elements in the values list. The max function returns the maximum value from the list. Finally, this line prints the result. It displays a message indicating the largest value found using the max function. Let's run this program and find the highest value amongst the 5 values. In this example, we have created a basic calculator program that can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It asks the user to input 2 numbers and an operand. Then performs the specified arithmetic operation using the input numbers and operand. Let's dive into the code. For functions, add, subtract, multiply, and divide are defined to perform basic arithmetic operations. Add function will takes 2 numbers x and y as input and returns their sum. Subtract function will takes 2 numbers x and y as input and returns their difference. Multiply function will takes 2 numbers x and y as input and returns their product. Divide function will takes 2 numbers x, dividend, and y, divisor, as input and returns their quotient. It also checks if the divisor is 0 to avoid division by 0 error. The program prompts the user to enter 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2, and an operand to specify the arithmetic operation to be performed. Based on the operand entered by the user, the program determines which arithmetic operation to perform using a series of if statements. If the user selects the plus operand, then add function will be called and the values of number 1 and number 2 will be passed to x and y, and add function will return the sum of x and y. Similarly, if the user selects the subtract operand, then subtract function will be called and the values of number 1 and number 2 will be passed to x and y, and subtract function will return the result after subtracting the value of y from x. If the user selects the multiply operand, then multiply function will be called and multiply function will return the result after multiplying the value of x and y. If the user selects the divide operand, then divide function will be called and function will return the result after dividing the value of x with y. If the user entered an invalid operand, then the program will return the error message invalid operand. Finally, the result of the calculation is printed to the console. Let's run this program and perform some calculations. Let's try by entering a wrong operand. This program allows users to select a pizza from a menu, choose its size and toppings, specify the number of pizzas, and provides an order summary with the total price. It's a simple example of how you can implement a basic pizza ordering system in Python. Let's dive into the code and learn how this program is working. Display menu function. This function takes pizza menu as input and displays the available pizza options to the user. It iterates through the pizza menu list and prints out each pizza's name and price. Enumerate is a built-in Python function that allows you to loop over an iterable, such as a list or tuple, while also keeping track of the index of the current item. It takes two parameters, the iterable you want to loop over and an optional start index. By default, it starts from 0. Order pizza function. This function handles the pizza ordering process. It prompts the user to select a pizza by entering the corresponding number from the menu. Then it asks for the size of the pizza, small, medium, or large, and validates the input. The program performs basic input validation to ensure that the user enters valid options for pizza size, and selects a pizza from the menu. Next, it asks for toppings. The user can enter multiple toppings separated by commas, and it splits them into a list. After that, it asks for the number of pizzas the user wants to order. Finally, it calculates the total price based on the selected pizza's price and the number of pizzas ordered and prints out an order summary. In the order summary, the program will return the pizza name selected by the user with price, pizza size, topping, number of pizzas ordered by the customer, and finally the amount of the total order. Main function. This function initializes the pizza menu list of dictionaries containing pizza names and prices. It calls the display menu function to show the available options to the user. Then, it calls the order pizza function to take the user's order. Let's run this program and order a pizza. I am going to order the pepperoni medium pizza with olives topping. I want 2 pizzas. And here is my order detail with total amount. Let's try by adding a wrong pizza size. See, the program will not continue until you enter a correct pizza size. You can add multiple checks in your program to ensure that user is entering correct data. This program presents a list of 10 grocery items with their prices to the user. It then asks the user to select an item and specify the quantity. The user can continue adding items to their shopping cart or choose to finish shopping. At the end, the program will show the list of the items with quantity and price, and total of all the items at the end. Let's dive into the code to see how this program works. This is the main function where the program execution starts. We define a list named grocery items containing dictionaries, each representing a grocery item with its name and price. An empty list named cart is initialized to store the items selected by the user. There's an infinite loop, while true, to interact with the user and manage the shopping process. Inside this loop, we display the available grocery items using the Show Grocery Items function. The user is prompted to select a grocery item and specify the quantity. The selected item is retrieved from the grocery items list and added to the shopping cart. The user is asked if they want to add another item. If they choose not to, the loop breaks. After the user finishes adding items, we display the items in the shopping cart along with their quantities and individual prices. The total amount for all the items in the cart is calculated using the calculate total function and printed to the user. Show grocery items function. The function takes one parameter, items, which is a list of dictionaries. Each dictionary represents a grocery item with its name and price. We print a header indicating that we are displaying the available grocery items. We iterate over each item in the items list using a loop. The enumerate function is used to generate a sequence of tuples containing the index and item from the list. We start the index from 1 to make it more user-friendly. Inside the loop, we print each item's number, name, and price formatted nicely using f-strings. The price is formatted to display 2 decimal places. By calling this function, we can easily display the list of available grocery items to the user with their corresponding prices in a clear and organized manner. Calculate total function. The function takes one parameter, cart, which is a list of dictionaries representing the items in the shopping cart. Each dictionary contains keys for name, price, and quantity. We initialize a variable named total to store the total amount for all the items in the shopping cart. This variable is initially set to 0. We iterate over each item in the shopping cart using a loop. Inside the loop, for each item, we calculate the subtotal by multiplying the price of the item by the quantity, and then add this subtotal to the total variable. After iterating over all the items, we return the total amount, which represents the total cost of all the items in the shopping cart. This function efficiently calculates the total amount for all the items in the shopping cart by iterating over each item and summing up their subtotals. Let's run this program and try to add 2 or 3 items in the shopping cart. Let's add bananas with quantity of 5. Now it's asking if you want to add another item in the list. We type yes. Second item we are going to add is chicken with quantity of 2. And third item we are going to add is rice with quantity of 5. Our shopping is completed, so I will type no. Here is our shopping summary, all 3 items with quantity, price and total. And grand total at the end of the list. So viewers, we've crafted a simple yet effective grocery purchase program. By analyzing this program, you'll gain a solid understanding of utilizing dictionaries, functions, and loops to create a comprehensive application. Stay tuned for our next exciting project.